And the guys we're going to be talking about the most, 1 through 7. Let's begin at 7. This is the point of the podcast where Chris gets very serious. He's got his notebook out. He writes in cursive and tiny little writing.
Yes, I do.
So good luck. Number 7, who you got?
Yeah, Clelin Ferrell from Clemson. And I know a lot of people got him, up there as far as, I see him in mock drafts first round.
I see him in the top 15.
He's top, right. And
why do you like him less than most?
Well, I think the big thing is I don't think he's a really gifted athlete, okay? I think that's the first thing. I don't see really natural bend coming off the edge. And for people who want to know what I'm talking about bend, okay, I think he's a little stiff this way. And when I'm talking about bend, and you know this too because we talked about it a little bit, but, bend is like the ability to come around the edge and get like this, okay? That's life in the NFL. Von Miller, Khalil Mack, I'm like this, and I got a 330-pound guy on my shoulder, and I can still just keep running and turn the corner.
It's almost like they get so low that the offensive tackle, who's 6'6", can't even get the hands.
He can't even push him all the way down. He's like, damn,
crazy.
I want to push him in the ground, but this guy's legs and ass are so strong, he just kind of powers through it.
And he doesn't have that.
He does not have that. There's a lack of pass rush, a lack of fluid athleticism. He's a good football player, don't get me wrong. But even with some of his sacks, I didn't look at it and go, wow, that was awesome. Well, the tackle slipped, or the tackle overplayed and played a really horrible technique, or he got matched up on a tight end. So I take into account not just production, but how did you get the production?
Right.
I'm not going to go, you're unblocked and he got a sack. Woo, is he amazing? Gosh, look at this guy. When no one blocks him, he can get sacks. And I'm not saying that was the case, but the quality of the sack and what you're doing along that is what I look at. And if you want to know my pro player comparison, I wrote Mario Addison, okay, who's a good football player for the Carolina Panthers.
Say who?
Yeah, I know. Number 97 for the Carolina Panthers. I believe last year he probably had around 8, 9 sacks. Really good football player. They've paid him money. He's been playing. He's had a good career. So it's not like I'm trying to downplay this guy. But I just don't see the pure, natural, raw physical ability that I see with some of the other guys. Let alone, I also take into account, defenses or offenses that played against Clemson this year, they weren't going, we got to stop this guy. There was like a whole plethora of people on Clemson. So that also adds to favorable matchups with Dexter Lawrence, Christian Wilkins on the end. I'm blanking on the other defense end, who's a professional defense end for Clemson, number 7. I mean, so I try to take all of that into account.
And pronunciation is interesting with him. Clelin Ferrell, most people say.
Thank you. Help me.
I called the Cotton Bowl, though, and the Tiger SID came in and said, it's Ferrell.
Right.
I said, everybody in the world is saying Ferrell. He goes, it's Clelin Ferrell.
Clelin Ferrell. Okay, I got you. But good first step. Got quickness. He was a tougher eval. This is a good group of guys. And just so we know, we're going through 7 guys because, I evaluated probably 14 to 15 of these guys. I think these 7 guys are slam dunk going to be in the top 50 picks of the draft, okay? So that's why I kind of cut it off at 7.
So Ferrell, second-round pick.
That's the way I look at him. Yes, certainly.
All right, we're going a little smaller school now at number 6.
Yeah, Jalen Ferguson, okay? This is a guy that's, I think, had a few little off-the-field issues. He wasn't invited to the combine. Wow. Okay, but the first thing I'll say is...
How major are these issues?
I don't know how major they are. And that's the hardest thing about our job, is about this job, is because I don't always get to meet these guys or know what the research background check, checks out at. But all I know is when I turn on the damn film, and I'm only here to evaluate what goes on the field, okay? Yeah. So when I turn on the film, first of all, he is really easy to find because he is a big okay? I mean, he's a stand-up, almost plays an outside linebacker at times, but also puts his hand in the dirt and comes off the edge. He would be more along the crash end type. It's a power-based game, okay? But at 6'5", 271 pounds, man, I just was impressed with the overall power that he had in his game. He's a completely raw guy. He has no pass rush moves. He has no idea how to use his hands. And I look at that as a positive because that means there is room to grow. If there was one question I had about him, the motor can fall off at a time. Like the guy we just talked about, Ferrell, his motor was off the charts, and that's a positive, certainly. This guy, because he's so big, he maybe would die out. You gotta kind of judge that through workouts when you look at him and all those things.
Is there any instance on film where he's going against an NFL tackle?
Yes, definitely. So I know this is Louisiana Tech, and trust me, I'm not sitting there going, oh, well, let me see how he did against Southwest, Northwest Alabama school. I understand that those are first games I turned on were LSU and Mississippi State. and he belongs. And, man, did he give the right tackle for LSU all he could handle. His power is real. But, yes, I was very intrigued by the athlete, the specimen, and his room to grow from here on out. I think there's a lot there to it. I compared him a lot to Frank Clark.
Okay.
Coming out of Michigan a few years ago, who
First
just got franchise tag. Yeah, franchise tag. Yeah, I think he's a good football player. I don't know how the background will check out.
All right, back to a Power 5 conference school at number 5.
Yep, at number 5. Hold on, I got to look at my damn list here. I'm blanking out for a second.
Tallahassee.
Oh, sorry, Brian Burns.
I can say the name if you want me to.
It's all right either way.
Give me a signal.
I choked under the pressure, but Brian Burns was one of the more pleasant surprises that I saw. Now, I watched him a little bit when Florida State played Notre Dame this year, right? Yeah. Certainly. He is a long, gifted athlete.
Looks the part, which I know is important too.
Looks the part, certainly. Now, I always wonder about these guys. Okay, he looks the part. He looks like an athlete. Does he have the physicality to hang in there, against teams who are going to run downhill in the run game, all of those things. But I think the big thing I liked about Brian Burns, he's a very loose and fluid athlete. So not only can he beat you with pure speed around the corner, for a guy that's 6'5" and long that way, has tremendous bend around the edge. But the thing I liked a lot too, his ability to shake offensive tackles, change speeds on the rush, right? So he could get an offensive lineman squared up and give you a little bit of this and get the offensive tackle off balance a little bit, and then he can put his foot in the ground and accelerate to the quarterback. That was impressive to me. He's stronger than what I expected. I think that's what really blew me away a little bit.
So finesse and power is a combo.
It is a combo. Can change speeds through the pass rush, right? Like where he can kind of go, he can rope-a-dope you a little bit. Like, I'm not going to go that fast. And all of a sudden it's bam, and he goes, and he catches people off guard. But very athletic and can set the edge and holds his ground in the run game. Disruptive around the ball a lot. He was a pleasant surprise for me.
Was that something you saw on the field in November in the Notre Dame game, or is this coming through on film?
I think it's no. I saw it a little bit on the film. I mean, at Notre Dame on the field, where I said, "Oh, this guy's a little tougher than I maybe gave him credit for." And watching the last 2 games of Florida State, but as I really dove into this over the last week, I was impressed with ability to set the edge. When people want to know what I mean by setting the edge, is okay. You got an offensive tackle. Your responsibility is to protect the outside gap, not let the outside run. Man, when he locks his arms out, he can hold an offensive tackle there and funnel the run back inside. He can drop into coverage. They stand him up. I looked at him, and at first I thought, man, this is maybe Daniel Hunter, which he does certainly have that, the guy we talked about before. But I also thought maybe more Leonard Floyd, who was a top 10 pick for the Chicago Bears out of Georgia. Now, he's not as gifted as Leonard Floyd, but a similar type of athlete. Is he as long and lean as that? He's got a little more muscle and power to him. I don't know if he's the freaky athlete that Leonard Floyd is, but he was a pleasant surprise to me.
Let's go scenario here with him, because as I'm listening to you talk about him, I'm assuming that you think he's worth a first-round pick, kind of a later
exactly
first round.
Right.
So
right.
Let's say you're Oakland sitting there at 4, and your favorite pass rusher goes either 1, 2, or 3. Can you sit there in those 10 minutes and be like, you know what? We're going elsewhere. We had 2 picks in the 20s.
Yes.
Maybe this guy will be there in the 20s, and he might be better value.
I think is exactly what that would be my thought process, certainly. I mean, if you're in Oakland or a team like that, if you felt like you were in the top 10 and, you go, gosh, I got these teams calling me, offering me some great trade options here. Yeah, I would, and we need a pass rusher. I would think Brian Burns would be one of the guys they go, man, if we get back in the mid-20s somewhere, late 20s, Brian Burns could be there. Hey, one thing I always look at that's impressive with some of these guys, their 10-yard split, okay? Because, I mean, pass rusher, it's about your first 3 steps.
5 yards.
Right.
Really,
really. Exactly right. And Brian Burns, I mean, when you're 6'5", 249, and you ran a 4.53, and his 10-yard split was 1.57, I mean, that's elite wide receiver type of 10-yard split right there.
Anybody else in this list as good?
There is. Yeah, we're gonna get into. Stop trying to come on. So, I mean, gosh,
don't say any names.
I don't want to shoot all my bullets yet. Okay.
I was just wondering if it was the best. Of all of them.
Right.
Okay, so that was 5.
Right.
Brian Burns, Florida State. Do you want me to say 4, or are you on
I got it now.
Okay.
I got it.
Number 4.
I won't choke this one away. Montez Sweat is where I'm going to go, out of Mississippi State.
Should have asked Kirk about him.
They played him. I know. I almost went there, but I didn't want to keep too much of his time. But Montez Sweat, I mean, come on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see this guy. Now, the film will want you wanting a little bit more, okay?
In what way?
In what way? Where I wish I just go, man, there's moments where I just wish he would take over the game a little bit more, because you see flashes of it and you go, wow. So this is where I think a guy like him could end up being a little bit overdrafted because of things we've talked about earlier in the show already. You know, the length. Of course, we're doing 6'6", 260. 4'4", 140. I mean, 4'4", 140? Are you kidding me?
Insane, isn't it?
It's insane. I mean, that beats
Does it show
Odell
up on
Beckham
film,
Jr.
To your point?
It does. It does. I don't know if 4'4", does. I probably would have guessed like 4'5" flat.
But
4'4",
he looks
9.
freaky fast for a guy at that position.
Freaky fast, 10-yard split, 155. Okay?
Even better than Brian Burns.
Even better. And I think for the tall, long guy, the thing that jumped out to me, there's two things that jumped out to me. And there's a lot of room to grow, okay? He tries to win really one way, with beating with speed around the edge. Has very good bend for a long guy, which is you don't always see with these longer type of guys. It's hard for them to get into these angles and still hold up. So I like that aspect of his game. And he was more powerful than I expected. Now, I want to see more power or speed to power in the pass rush. And for anybody out there who's going, what the hell is speed to power? You'll hear that if you ever watch Mike Mayock on the combine or anything like that.
Used to.
Yes, used to. But speed to power, I'm going to stand up for a second, Annie, once again, is, okay, here I am. I'm coming around the edge, and I'm trying to win with speed. You know what? I'm not going to beat this guy. He got a good jump off the line of scrimmage to tackle, and I'm not going to beat him with speed. At what point can I stick this foot in the ground and now just drive him back into the quarterback? That is speed to power. The ability to recognize, you know what? I'm not going to win with my speed here. I'm just going to have to try to collapse the pocket and ruin the play that way. I wish he would do it more. He does it in the run game, which tells me he's capable of doing it. These are things where NFL coaching and getting around other NFL alpha male defensive linemen and things like this.
Learn by example.
You learn by example.
Or be coaching. And that's what I was going to ask. You kind of answered the question. But when you talk about bend, to me, and I'm comparing it to the bendability, if that's a word, you can either do that off the edge or you can't. I mean, you can have the best defensive line coach in the league.
Exactly right.
I don't think you can teach
You can't teach that.
Can you teach the speed to power thing?
I do think you can teach the speed to power thing. I think there's a few little technique things there where I've talked to defensive line coaches over the years where, yes, there's a few things that they can put in their brain, drills that they can practice with them to go,
that's one of them.
You can add this to your game along with hand fighting. Run game, I was really impressed. I was really impressed with his ability to get off blocks, Paul. Like, I mean, he's standing up an offensive tackle and, he sees the ball coming outside. Man, he can throw this guy away. I mean, I wrote in my notes at one point, I mean, if he gets his hands on you and locks his arms out, you are That's what I wrote, okay?
Yeah.
I know that's a harsh word, but what I mean by that is...
Did you capitalize it? Is F capitalized?
No, I didn't, but I underlined it twice, okay?
That's even better.
So it's better. But yeah, when he gets like this, and his length of his arms, which are over 35 inches, and of course just the natural power he has, you're done. Because once he gets you here and he's got his hands right in your chest, shoulder pads, he kind of owns you that way.
How does he get out of the top 10 then?
He probably won't. I don't think he will. And I think as we get into these next few guys, I think all these guys are top 10
We're now in the
picks.
top 10 category.
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
I think these four, for me, are on a different level than the three we've already talked about. Where the other guys, we talked about can be anywhere from, let's say, 20 to 50. I don't think these four right here that we're going to get into, no way they get out of the top 12 to 15. I'd be shocked.
Okay, so now we are into the top three. At number 3.
Yep, at number 3, Josh Allen from Kentucky.
A lot of people have him higher.
I know they do. I know, but I'm not a lot of people, okay? I'm a pain in the ass.
Just trying to press your buttons here.
No, please do. And I don't always like saying this stuff because this guy's a Jersey guy, too. I'm a little partial to the Jersey love.
Is he north or south?
He's north.
Okay.
He's up like Montclair, New Jersey, which have been right where I grew up.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this guy is a rush end / outside linebacker. If you want to give you some examples, and I didn't say this about Montez Sweat, okay? So I got to go back for a second. Montez Sweat's Simeon Rice to me, a guy I played
against him.
You played against him,
because
he was at Illinois when you were playing college ball,
opposite
right?
Kevin Hardy coming on the other side.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
but that's who I would say Montez Sweat's comparison is Simeon Rice. Now I look at a guy like Josh Allen, just as right off the bat. My comparison would be a rich man's Anthony Barr. okay, because he can play stand-up linebacker. He's a better pass rusher than Anthony Barr ever was at UCLA. Or let's say a poor man's Khalil Mack at a Buffalo,
wow.
okay? Yeah, it's high praise. I mean, like you said, there's a reason we're talking about him, and you said everybody, he is no question going to be, all these guys, and I hate this part, is all these guys are awesome. These are ballers. So I know we're ranking them, and we're trying to point out flaws, but these are special football players. They really are. I think the big thing with me, with Josh Allen, production, it's undeniable. I mean, yes, he gets around the edge sometimes, and I go, damn, I don't even know how it wasn't that pretty, but damn, he got the sack. I don't know how he did it. He is phenomenal at dropping back into pass coverage, doing those things. But bendability, as your word you just invented, I think it's actually a real word. I'm not even sure. Okay. He does not have the bend that I love, okay? He wins with quick feet, and he's kind of a pitter-patter runner, which is different than the rest of these guys. And a lot of these guys are, can really take one big step and explode out of the three-point stance. This guy might take 2 steps where a lot of these other guys do 1, but they're very quick. He gets his feet back on the ground. Little low cut, doesn't have the legs that I love as far as what he's being asked to, like his legs are not Khalil Mack, who has an all-time set of legs and ass. But I guess this is the thing where I look at it and concerns me just a little more maybe than everybody else you're hearing about. The bendability and the ability to play through contact, I think, is what concerns me.
I feel like I want to raise my hand like I'm a kid in class.
Please do.
Always do. You're going to take my question?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so all very good points.
Right.
But if you look at where he is in the SEC, if he's having this kind of productivity, and I'm guessing, like you talked about Clemson having 3 or 4 guys on their front 7, they're going to be potential first-round picks.
No question.
Probably doesn't have a lot of other people there in the defense with him that they are game planning for.
No, I would agree with that,
if
certainly.
He's the clear guy being game planned against, making plays against that competition, can't you live without the fact that his bendability isn't awesome?
Well, I want to know if it's always going to translate to the NFL. And I just don't know that many top-tier pass rushers that don't have the bendability, I guess is where I worry about it, let alone the speed to power that we talked about or the ability to play through contact. If he doesn't kind of win getting around the edge, he's not going to really win.
So if somebody gets into him, he doesn't.
He has an issue with there, and again, we're talking about a really good football player. We're being nitpicky with all these type of guys, but I think that's the thing. Just lacks a little physicality and power in his game to concern me and drop him down maybe a little farther than what everybody else has. And hey, listen, I'll throw out a point to you. The Jets are picking number 3, right?
Yep.
They need a pass rusher, and they are widely telling everybody that they're willing to trade down. Now, if Josh Allen was a slam dunk, they wouldn't be saying that right there. So to me, that almost speaks a little, too, to go, okay, we're not sure right there about, him as the pass rusher or whatever it may be. So I guess that's the thing that concerns me at the end of the day about him.
One final question about him. And I know you have him rated at 3 and Montez Sweat at 4. But after listening to you talk about both of them, if you were a GM picking at 6, 7, 8 and could have either, it sounds to me like you'd rather have Montez Sweat, even though he's rated below him.
I think I would. I guess the difference is Montez Sweat's a hair of a projection, right? Okay. He has more than one elite trait. I mean, the length is an elite trait. Size is a skill in the NFL, okay? Everybody's got to remember that. Size is a skill. Of course, then the freaky athletic ability, yes, I think would lead me to believe this. Maybe he has a higher ceiling than Josh Allen, certainly. But I think from what I saw on film for the last year and a half or whatever it may be, Josh Allen has played at a higher level, but I don't know if he will 2 years from now. It's going to be very close.
Here's what all this means. Tonight at dinner, Chris's wife is going to be talking to him, and his mind is going to be on number 3 or number 4 at defensive end.
It's a close one.
She's going to be like, are you listening to me?
No, and I'm like, no. And she's like, I mean, come on, can we talk? And I'm like, sorry, I don't know what to say. But I just want to see what if I'm missing anything else there. Hey, he's got great get-off. I think it's good. I didn't think it was special get-off, okay? Now, he ran a 4.63. He had a 1.61 10-yard split. all very good, certainly. And we talked about his ability to drop back in coverage. That's what people are going to like. He's going to be looked at as a rush end or an outside linebacker. He's going to be that type of guy. We want you on the edge. We don't necessarily want you dealing with the power game. At times, you'll be able to cover the T.J. Hawkinson down the seam, and he'll be able to do that. Right. He's
big asset.
He is. It's a big asset, right? So he can do multiple things for a defense that way, which, of course, is part of his value.
Your handwriting's too small.
Yeah, well, I write so many things down. I'm always like, okay, all right, I just don't want to miss anything because I know I'm going to go home tonight and go, damn, I should have said that. I missed it.
Bringing us to number 2, and to me, this is the most intriguing athlete in the top 7.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Rashawn Gary, another Jersey guy, oddly enough. I watched him play. Watched him play in his high school state championship game.
Total freak, and it doesn't mean he can play, but he's the kind of guy. If you're on the field, and we were at the Notre Dame Michigan game,
right?
Like you just stand 10 yards from him, and you're like, wow,
what?
How did that happen?
Exactly.
So then the expectations are so high for him that it's almost like you can't live up to him.
No, a little bit, because that's all you hear about Rashawn Gary. Where's the production? Where's the production? Where's the production?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
But that doesn't always bother you.
It doesn't always bother me because it's not always about that. You know, again, we're talking about a guy who's 6'4".
Is that all he is?
He's 6'4", and he's 280 pounds.
Looked like he's about 6'6" to me.
I know, because he's high cut. Yeah. He's got really long legs. Ran a 4.58, okay, and had a 1.63 10-yard split. I mean, the drills at the combine, I would have gone, damn. I mean, you put him in with the linebackers, and he looked like he was better at coverage drills and some of that stuff than some of the linebackers actually were. But to the production point, this is the big thing. Again, it's not always about sacks and what you do.
Right.
You know, there's a stat that I call, it's unofficial in the NFL, okay? But the play up stat, okay?
What is that?
You know, well, the guy who ruins the play, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
But you know, somebody else makes the tackle. And in my pro player comparison, disruptive, right? Disruptive, not about. I'm more about disruption, not about production. And I know, hey, production matters. I understand that, but it's not always the key thing to a football player. This guy is Michael Bennett to me, and just so everybody knows to where we go with Michael Bennett. And I think I made this point to you before. Michael Bennett, in the years 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 5 years in a row, I would have argued he was one of the 2 or 3 best defensive players in all of football.
Unblockable
and
at times.
Certainly the best defensive player in the Seattle Seahawks. And if anybody else doesn't go out there and go, oh, Chris, you're so full of crap, what the hell are you talking about? Go back and watch 2014 America's game when Seattle's playing New England in the Super Bowl. All New England worried about was if they could block Michael Bennett.
And a lot of times they couldn't.
And a lot of the times they couldn't. And I bet you his sack rate, his sacks those years were probably 6.5, 7.5. But like we've talked about many times, his ability to ruin the play, like a Rashawn Gary, he can ruin the play. He might not get the tackle or the sack, but he is the reason the play was ruined, and now Devin Bush got the tackle, or Vinovich got the tackle on the other side. But it was all set up because of Gary's special talent. Now, where Gary's different, and where this will be a different conversation, is he's not like the rush end like the other guys are. This would be a guy that I would go as more of the crash end type, right?
So he's limited in what he can, in the variety of things he can do?
He's just not a pure pass rusher. He's more that. He might not have the absolute off-the-edge pure pass rush skills that Josh Allen has, right? But I still think he has more versatility along the defensive line than Josh Allen. I think he could be the rush end and do that and have success, but he also can go on the other side and go, oh, okay, there's a tight end and tackle over me? Great, good luck. I'll split you two so quickly you won't even know what hit you, and I'll be in the backfield, and I'll just shoulder you off or throw you out of the way and get upfield and ruin the play.
Is he the kind of guy, if he ends up on a team with 2 great defensive ends, they could kick him inside and win there?
Exactly right. And that's what a really good crash end can do, and that's what Michael Bennett can do. Oh, okay, it's 3rd down. We think about the old Seattle Seahawks. They had Cliff Averill. It's 3rd down. Let's put Bruce Irvin at defense end, and now we're going to put Michael Bennett, who's a really good DN on a guard in a pass rush situation. Yeah, good luck, Mr. Guard, blocking that. And that's where Rashawn Gary is extremely impressive. He has got phenomenal athletic ability, like you talked about. I mean, his speed jumps out. You run away from him, he can run the running back down from the backside. But I was more impressed with his ability to just throw blockers off, pulling guards, run through them like they weren't there. To me, again, we're nitpicking. But if you just said, okay, you got one pick to start your defense, Rashawn Gary or Josh Allen, I would go, I'm taking Rashawn Gary. I just think he can do more for my defense and be more disruptive on a play-to-play basis than a Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen might get drafted ahead of him, and I completely realize that. But some team, you got to think team needs, too. Some teams might we got to have that guy already. We need a real guy that can just come off the edge all game long and do that. And they might prefer Josh Allen. It is about scheme and what you need and all of that. But for me, as just a complete football player, Rashawn Gary, I think, is a notch above Josh Allen.
Whoever you have at number one, it's not a real surprise.
Yeah, no,
it's not. Better be
not.
Awfully good because a couple of these guys you described sound like they're worthy of top 5 picks.
Yes, I mean, I listen. I wouldn't be shocked if I wouldn't be shocked if we got to pick 7 and 8, and I mean.
3 could be gone pretty easily.
All four. Yeah, the 4th is going by number 8. I really wouldn't because it's that special of a group.
Number 1.
Oh, baby Bosa.
Moving from Ann Arbor to Columbus.
Yeah, right. I mean, little Michigan, Ohio State. But Nick Bosa, yes, he is number 1. And I would like to say this. I think it's a little closer, the gap between Nick Bosa and Rashawn Gary, than I would have thought until I dove in. I thought, I thought, oh, Nick Bosa is going to be the guy when all's said and done here, and he's just going to kill it.
Seems to be.
And he is. He's amazing. But I thought the gap is a little tighter than I expected to after watching all the film.
Do you think inside any building in the NFL that Gary is actually ahead of him?
I know that there is some scouts that I know that have Rashawn Gary with a higher grade than Nick Bosa. But I think at the end of the day, Bosa's elite pass rushing skills are what's going to separate him from the pack here. And that's why I think, if the San Francisco 49ers stay at number 2, Nick Bosa is going to the San Francisco. If Kyler Murray goes 1, to Arizona, Nick Bosa, I would just be shocked if he went.
And you use him in what way? You talked about all these different ways these guys can be used.
Yeah, he can do it all. Rush end, crash end. He can move into 3 technique too. At the end of the day, you want him to be your rush end. You want him the guy that come off the edge and just pin your ears back and use the unbelievable bend he has to get around the edge. I mean, we talked about Khalil Mack, Von Miller. I mean, they can get their shoulders and body a foot off the ground. Yeah. And Nick Bosa is the same way. I mean, he's just got a phenomenal lower body, but he does slide into defensive tackle in certain situations, and he can shoot a gap like a Rashawn Gary we talked about.
Can he drop?
He can drop, yes. It's not going to be, I think, what you're going to want him to do on a consistent basis.
Would he be a liability if you drop it?
No, he's not going to be a liability. He could do it. I don't think you'd want to do it, 20 times a game. But if you said, oh, we're going to throw a curveball here, and, every, 8 to 10 times a game, he's going to drop back and have to do something in space, he'll be completely fine, just like his brother. Hey, the pro player comparison is his damn brother. There's no doubt about it. He's a better pure pass rusher than his brother was coming out. I don't know if he's as strong at the point of attack with just throwing tackles out of the way in the run game and things like that. I think Joey's a little bit of a natural bigger guy, but I think Nick is a little bit more slippery and explosive around the edge than Joey was. And I think that's where I look. And then we talk about the power, speed to power element. Has very good hands to knock it down when offensive tackles try to punch him to slow it down. All of those things I thought were top notch. Again, his 40 wasn't as good as the rest of these guys. He ran a 4.79.
How much does that matter?
Not really. I don't really care. His 10-yard split was 1.60.
Okay.
So that means those first 2 or 3 steps, he's covering some serious ground. But I think that, at the end of the day, is what really sold me on him. He does have the versatility to kind of do 3 different things along the defensive line, and his pure pass rushing ability, I think, is the best of the class.
What's your biggest concern with him?
Probably injury. I don't know if there's anything there that I really look at.
It's kind of a reach. I mean, if you're talking about a potential injury,
I'm just nitpicking here. I mean, yeah, he missed his last year because he had to get groin surgery or something like that. But it's not something I look at a film and go, oh, this could be a real problem down the stretch somewhere. There's nothing that I look at there that I go, wow, this is kind of a concern for me. He's a slam dunk, pretty much can't miss prospect in my eyes.
If we can, let's throw the list up there, 1 through 7. Chris just went through in that order right there. So Furl or Farrell, however you want to say it, at 7.
Please
I'm one
save
of the few
me.
that says Furl, but I was told that by the Clemson SID department. To Ferguson from Louisiana Tech at 6. Brian Burns, Florida State at 5. Montez Sweat at 4. I think eventually Chris is going to move him to 3. Josh Allen right now from Kentucky, he has a 3. Rashawn Gary at 2, and Nick Bosa at 1.
Very close, though. You're right. The 3-4 spot to me is I just wasn't as blown away with Josh Allen as I thought I was going to be. And that's not a disrespect.
I don't want you to lose sleep over this.
I won't. I'm trying not to.
Okay.
But that is the shit I like. I do lose sleep over. Yeah. You know, like when the dog barks at like 3:30 in the morning and my mind starts going, these are the little things that start going through my brain to keep me up.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.